Okay, so we're going to use this data set right here. We're going to calculate the regression equation and the regression coefficient. Okay, in order to do that, we need to set up a table like this. So here's all your x values. It's the same thing as these numbers right here. Here are all your y values. Same thing as all these numbers right here. We'll need to find the mean for our x values, which means I'll need to add all these numbers up and divide by how many I have. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers. So I'll add all of these numbers up, divide by 10. That'll give me 15.6. Do the same thing for the y's. You'll add all these numbers up, divide by 10, and that'll give you the mean or the average for your y's, or 79.7. Okay? So after you get your mean, what you would do is you would take each number, if we're looking at this right here, each x value, so 17 minus 15.6 to get 1.4, 13 minus 15.6 to get negative 2.6. You do that for every single number. Do the same thing for y. You would take 94 minus 79.7 and get 14.3. 73 minus 79.7 to get negative 6.7. And you would do that for every single number over here. Okay. X minus your mean times y minus their mean, y mean. So what you're doing is you're taking this column right here and you multiply it times this column right here. So to get this 20.02, you would take 1.4 times 14.3 and you get this number. You're just multiplying across. Negative 2.6 times negative 6.7 gives you 17.42. And you would do that for every single number in these columns. Okay? When you have all those numbers, what you're going to do is you're going to take all of these numbers right here and you will add them up. When you add them up, that will give you 134.8. Okay. This column right here is taking this column and squaring each of those numbers. So 1.4 squared gives you 1.96. Negative 2.6 squared gives you 6.76, and so forth. Okay. Same thing for this column. You would take, look, this right here. You would take this column, 14.3 squared will give you 204.49. Negative 6.7 squared will give you 44.89. Okay. When you do that for both of these columns, you're going to take all of these numbers and add them up, and that should give you 42.4. Okay, take all of these numbers, add them up, and that should give you 1,206.1. Okay. Now you would do this chart, this whole chart right here, if you were trying to find your equation and R by hand. Most of the time we just use Excel and it will just give us the answer. On the exam, what I'm going to give you is these numbers right here. These are the numbers that are important. So you don't have to go through this entire table right here. All you need are these numbers right here. And that's what I'm going to give to you on the test. I just wanted to show you the background of how we get to each of those numbers. Okay? So the first thing that we need to do, step 1, we need to calculate R. R has this formula right here, which was back here when we were talking about the linear coefficient R. That's where I'm getting that formula. It's this one right here. Okay, so I need the summation of x minus x bar times y minus y bar. If I go back, x minus x bar, y minus y bar. The summation of that is 134.8. So that's going to be my top number, 134.8. Divided by the square root of, okay, x minus x bar squared, summation of that. Okay, so x minus x bar squared, the summation of all these numbers, 42.4. And now I'll need the same thing for y. The summation of y minus y bar squared. Okay, y minus y bar squared, if I add all those numbers up, the summation, 1,206.1. So I need both of these numbers on the bottom. And there they are right there. So once you plug this into your calculator, you should get 0.596094761. Write down the entire number that your calculator gives you. Okay. Step 2, calculate B. And when I was talking about B, we had two formulas for it. We looked at, let me get rid of this stuff right here. Okay, we had two formulas for it. We had this one, and we had this one. There's actually an easy way and a hard way. If you use this B, this is actually the harder way. Because not only do you have to find R, you have to find the standard deviation for your Y's and the standard deviation for your X values, which would be using these two formulas as well. Okay. Whereas if you use this formula right here, this is actually the easier way. Okay. So if we go back, this is the easier way. So I'm going to use the more complicated version or formula for B, which is actually the easier way. So I need the summation of x minus x bar, y minus y bar, which notice this and this is the exact same thing. So 134.8, 134.8. The summation of x minus x bar squared, well, that's right here, summation of x minus x bar squared. That was 42.4. So divided by 42.4. Okay, B is equal to this number right here. Okay, step 3 is calculate A, where A was right here. The mean for y minus B times the mean for x. Okay, the mean for y is right here, 79.7. The mean for x is 15.6. Okay, so 79.7 minus, okay, that's what we just found for B, times the mean for x. Plug this into your calculator and you'll get 30.1037, all these numbers right here. Okay, so you've got the parts that you need for your formula. Because your formula is y hat is equal to a plus bx. You're not going to have a number for y hat. You're not going to have a number for x. You were looking for the numbers for a and for b, and you just got that. So you just plug those numbers in to this formula right here. And at the very last step, that's when you can round to 3 decimal places or 2 decimal places, whatever they ask for. Okay, so this was a data set that we used, which was the same data set at the very beginning of this section. All right, the formulas that they gave us for our regression equation is right here. Okay, 3.1792x plus 30.104. If you compare that to what we just found, okay, ours is switched a little bit. 3.179x, 30.104. Okay, so if we go back, we had 3.1792. Okay, whereas we got exactly the same thing. Okay, 3.1792 we just cut R2 off. Okay. But this is what Excel is going through. That's a harder version. Sorry. This is what Excel is going through, and it's doing all the stuff in the background, and it just pops out the number. Whereas if we had to do it by hand, this is everything that we would need to do to get that formula. Okay. And also, notice that our R value is 0.596. If we compare that to this R right here, this is R squared. If I square root that number, that will actually give me 0.59607. It'll keep on going. Okay? Which, that's the number I got for R. So those are the two things that they wanted us to find. They wanted us to find R. So there it is right there. That's our correlation coefficient. And then they wanted us to find the equation, which is right there. Okay. But like I said, on the test, I'm going to give you these numbers right here. You don't have to go through this table and get all of these numbers just to find the numbers at the bottom. I'll give you the important information you need on the test so you won't waste your time filling out this table. Okay. And last but least, since we're talking about correlation, you remember at the very beginning there's two super important things with statistics. Number one, you have to have random data. And number two, correlation does not imply causation. Okay? Just because one affects the other does not mean one causes the other.